Our show today features Sara Wilfahrt with her hearty vegetable soup to keep you warm on these cold winter days. And also, we'll be checking in with Holly for her Fit in 5, and Betsy Pizer will be in to give us our Heart of New Ulm update. Well, welcome to the show, Sara.
Thank you for having me.
Great. Well, tell us a little bit about your cooking experience and why you chose this great warm recipe for today.
Excellent. Well, my father taught me how to cook at a young age, and since then I started watching the Food Network channel quite frequently, and that really helped me pick up on a lot of tips and tricks on how to cook healthy for yourself, as well as reading various magazines.
Well, great. Your recipe looks great and incorporates a lot of vegetables. Remember, we're working for those 7 to 9 fruits and vegetables per day to meet the Mediterranean guidelines. So let's take a look at which ingredients you'll include today.
All right. Well, my soup consists of banana peppers, diced red onions, celery, carrots, green peppers, and then garbanzo beans, otherwise known as chickpeas, diced Italian tomatoes, and then I'll be adding garlic and then a few other seasonings after that.
Well, great. I like that you chose the peppers. Both green and yellow peppers are high in both vitamin A and C. A lot of people think that green peppers are really spicy, but actually they add a very sweet and tasty flavor to any recipe. So if you've always been a little shy of green peppers, give them a try, maybe in small quantity, but they really do add a lot to your recipe. All right, let's dig out our foods and start our prep work.
All right, well, what I'm going to start doing is heating up the olive oil. And then what we're going to want to do is just toss in all of our vegetables and let them simmer. Oh. And I'm only going to use 3 tablespoons of the olive oil. You really don't need much to saute the vegetables in.
And that's a great quantity. As we break this into our portions, which is 6 portions for this entire meal, that's a pretty small amount of fat that we're adding into the diet. Remember, the olive oil helps bring up those good fats and down the bad. A definite better improvement over our butter.
And then I'm going to start dicing up some of the pepper. And a great trick to actually dice up your pepper is to cut it from the top down. That way you lose a lot of the seeds this way, and they don't get caught up in your meal.
Great. Now we did quite a bit of her prep work ahead of time. All of our vegetables have been diced into small pieces, no more than a 1-inch square. This will keep it their texture consistent throughout your soup. Again, as we saw with Franz, Sara is julienning, and then we'll cut it into smaller pieces. Do you have any particular knife that you like to use when you're cutting?
I don't. Any knife that's free is, good for me. And this one's a larger one, so it helps to dice them up into smaller pieces after you've, got them cut up. You can go back, over them very easily to make sure you get them nice and small. And if you do enjoy larger pieces in your soup, you certainly can keep them larger. It's all personal preference.
Great. Well, while Sara is working on dicing up her fruits and vegetables, we're going to cut to Holly and see what's new in Fit in 5.
Welcome to today's Fit in 5. Today we're going to focus on flexibility and balance by doing some yoga. The poses that I'm going to show you today you can do at home or at work whenever you need a 5-minute break. We're going to go ahead and start with our feet hip distance apart, and we're going to stand up nice and tall with our shoulders relaxed. We should feel our abdominal muscles engaging to help hold us upright from here. We're going to inhale, bring those arms up overhead, and then we're going to exhale, extending out. Now, if we're in the middle of a stressful day, or we've had kind of a hard day, breathing like this can really help with stress management. It can help relieve some of the stresses and the pressures that we've had today. Next, we're going to inhale up. We'll bring our arms up overhead, but this time as we exhale, we're going to bring our left arm down and just keep our right arm up. So we're reaching fingertips up toward the ceiling. We can look up to the fingertips of the right hand or down to the fingertips of the left. And then we're going to inhale, bring the left arm up, exhale, right arm comes down. And we're going to continue to do this for about 3 or 4 breaths. And then both arms will come down. Next, we're going to do what's called an easy chair. So we're going to inhale up, arms come overhead. As we exhale, we're going to come to a little squatting position. Hands are on those thighs. Make sure that the chest stays lifted and we're not rounding through the spine. We're going to continue to flow through that movement. So we'll inhale up and exhale down. Whenever we do any type of flexibility, we want to make sure that we spend a little time increasing our range of motion and warming up those muscles. Now we're going to go ahead, inhale up. On the last exhale, we're going to bring the arms forward and we're just going to hold this position. This is called a chair pose. We're going to push our weight back to our heels and our arms are pointed forward. The chest is up and the shoulder blades are flat on the back. And we're just going to hold this for about 3 breaths in and out. Make sure those breaths are nice and slow and controlled. Next, we'll go ahead, inhale up, and we'll just exhale. We're going to take the hands behind the back. We want to bring the palms together. Very often, we'll just lock the fingertips together when we take the hands behind the back. We actually want to bring the palms together behind us. We're going to take the shoulder blades and just draw them down as we open the chest for a nice chest opening stretch. If we want a little more sensation, we can lift the arms up a little bit just to increase the stretch through the shoulders and the chest. From here, we're going to go ahead and release it down and just relax the arms. Next, we're going to do a balancing position. This is called tree. You may want to find something to hold on to, like a chair or a wall, if you're not very comfortable with your balance. But this position is a great way to increase your ability and your balance. So let's go ahead, place all the weight onto our right foot. And we're just very simply going to either kickstand our left foot up against our ankle. If we're pretty comfortable here, we can bring it up to the calf. Or if we would like to, we can come all the way up to thigh position. We're just going to stand up nice and tall. From here, we bring the arms up, palms come together, and we can bring the hands center. Again, if we would like to, we can balance using a wall or a chair, and then just gradually work on not needing those props anymore. So we're going to release the arms and then the legs, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So we're going to place all of our weight onto our left foot, same thing. You may find it's easier to balance on one side more so than the other. That's very common. If you're right or left side dominant, that's probably the side you're more comfortable balancing on. But same thing, we're going to go ahead, kickstand that heel up against the ankle. If we're comfortable there, we go with the calf. Or we can come all the way up to the thigh. We just want to make sure that we stay off the knee joint. Again, we'll inhale up, bring those palms together, and as we exhale, we're coming center. And we're going to continue to breathe throughout. We'll release the arms and then release the leg. From here, we're going to go ahead and we'll bring our right leg all the way back behind us. We're going to go into a warrior one position. We're going to keep the right leg behind us and bring the left knee over the ankle. We want to make sure here that the shoulders stay right above the hips. We're going to inhale, those arms are up overhead, and we're just going to exhale, looking forward. And then we'll release. Bring the feet together, and you got it, we're going to switch sides. Bring the left leg back, right knee is over the ankle. We'll inhale up, and then we'll just exhale. Now, we don't have to bring our arms up if we don't like to. If that's a little more sensation than we enjoy, we just bring the arms down. Same thing, and then we just bring the feet together. The last position we're going to do today is called a warrior, proud warrior position. So we're going to bring the feet shoulder distance apart here, and the toes are going to point out just slightly. We're going to bring our right knee over our ankle, and we're going to bring the arms up shoulder height. Again, we want to make sure the shoulders stay right above the hips, and we're just going to look out over those right fingertips. We're going to continue to breathe, and think of dropping the tailbone right down the center line of the body, right toward the floor. So we're not reaching forward, the shoulders stay right over the hips. We'll extend the legs, and we're just going to switch. Now we're going to the left, keeping the shoulders nice and relaxed. And then again, we'll come back center, release the arms, and we're just going to walk the feet in. We'll take one more deep breath in, releasing that stress, and we'll exhale out. And that's it for today's Fit in 5. Back to you, Becca.
Well, thanks, Holly. Those are great tips. All right, Sara has all of her food diced up and ready to go. So let's walk through the process.
All right. Well, I'm just going to start by adding all of my veggies into the olive oil.
Whenever we're using olive oil, we want to make sure that oil has thinned out enough to cover the bottom of our pan. That will keep your vegetables from sticking and will also coat a better portion of your vegetables and add a little more flavor. So what are we all putting in here today? We've had celery, we've had carrots, banana peppers,
green peppers, carrots, and red onion.
And here comes the onion.
Yeah.
So which of these are we going to get our strongest flavor from?
Actually, once we saute them all together, this soup, you really don't, there's not a flavor that really stands out more than others. That's what's good about it. So if you find, if you have someone in your family that really doesn't like onions, they won't notice it as much in this.
Good, good. Now, a lot of times when we prepare a vegetarian dish such as this soup, people will think that they're lacking on their protein. But we have two great sources of protein in this meal. The most protein we're going to receive is from our garbanzo or our chickpeas. This high protein food is going to be naturally high in fiber and it's not going to contain any cholesterol, so it's a great way for us to obtain our protein. And what most people don't realize is things like green pepper can have a little bit of protein in them as well. So we are getting an ample amount of protein even though we're having a vegetarian meal. So how long will these vegetables be sauteing?
You really only need to saute them for about 10 minutes because they will continue cooking as you add additional ingredients. But you just kind of want them to soften up a little bit together and they'll start to become a little translucent. So no more than 15 minutes maximum.
Great.
And then once these are done sauteing, then that's when we'll add all the other ingredients. And the only thing that we won't add right away is going to be the pasta. So that we'll add at the very last minute.
Great. Well, while this is sauteing, why don't we check in with Betsy and find out what's new for the Heart of New Ulm.
Hi, I'm Betsy Pizer with the Heart of New Ulm Project, and I'm honored to have Julie Long, our nurse practitioner on the team, with us tonight. Julie's here to tell us a little about women and heart disease. Julie, I know that women present sometimes different symptoms when having a heart attack. What else should we know about women and heart disease?
That is true, Betsy. Women do present somewhat differently in regards to heart attacks. They can have the chest discomfort and the chest heaviness like men, but often also they may have shortness of breath, nausea, vomiting, or diaphoresis or sweating with their chest discomfort or heart attack symptoms. The biggest thing is if women are experiencing these symptoms, it's really important to get immediate medical attention because time is crucial to prevent further damage to the heart. I think the other thing that women need to be aware of is, in general, women think heart disease is a man's disease. In actuality, heart attacks is the leading cause of death for women. And so it's real important for women to know their risk factors for heart disease, including their cholesterol level, their blood pressure, and also we strongly encourage them to quit smoking, and also they should know their glucose level.
Thanks, Julie. Very helpful. March is Nutrition Month, so it's a great time to try a yogurt smoothie for a snack or a quick breakfast and add a half a cup of strawberries or fresh berries just to get another serving of fruit and vegetables in your day. Julie, what's your favorite fruit or vegetable?
My favorite fruit is, I would say, is watermelon, but I like almost all fruits. And vegetables, probably peas. In my family, we all each have our favorites, so we try to get a nice variety. And I think it's also important to get a variety of the colors of fruits and vegetables.
That sounds great. Now, you're a very busy person with a busy family always on the go. What's one of your favorite ways to prepare vegetables to make sure your kids eat them?
Mostly the vegetables we prepare just steaming them. It's easy, it's quick, and the kids just enjoy them pretty plain. It doesn't hurt to add a little pepper or light seasoning if people would like that. We try to encourage people to avoid salt, but usually we just like the vegetables pretty plain.
Sounds delicious. Did anyone try Becca and Franz's chicken and asparagus recipe from last week? If you have any questions or have any comments, please feel free to call us at 507-233-1945 or go to our website at www.heartofnewulm.org. We look forward to seeing you next week when we have a success story along with us to talk about the changes she's made since her Heart of New Ulm screening last year. Thanks and enjoy the show.
Thanks, Betsy. Those are great ideas and a great way to stay involved in the community. Okay, Sarah, so we've been sauteing for about 15 minutes. Your vegetables are looking great. What comes next?
Now we add all of the other ingredients except the pasta that I mentioned before. And you know, the order doesn't matter how you add them. So I'm going to start by adding the chicken broth. And you want to use, if you're using a box, you want to add about 1.5 boxes.
Now, if you're measuring that out, that comes to about 6.5 cups. I also wanted to mention that Sarah used a very special pasta. It's a rice pasta. If this isn't something that you can easily find in town, feel free to switch that out with any other whole wheat pasta. Franz had mentioned he used the whole wheat rotini. That's a great choice as well. As long as you're whole wheat or whole grain, it's a good substitution.
Okay. And we got the garbanzo beans. And it does kind of splash a little, so you got to be easy when you're adding your ingredients because there's a lot of liquid that's here. And then a great way to cut down on some of the sodium is to add water as well instead of just pure chicken stock. So I'm adding 2 cups of water as well.
If you notice, Sarah did choose the low sodium chicken broth. This shouldn't change the flavor of your recipe much, but it does reduce that overall sodium intake. Same with the diced tomatoes. These are Italian tomatoes, adding a little extra flavor, but still come in a low sodium variety. That keeps it in our healthy parameters. So red wine vinegar, what's the purpose of this?
This just adds a little bit more of a tangy flavor to the recipe. It's one of the tips that I learned on the Food Network channel. They add it to their soup, so I kind of started to add it, and you know, it turned out to be well. So,
You flip it off.
Excellent. So I'm just going to add a tablespoon of this vinegar. And then a tablespoon of the parsley flakes.
Wow, it smells great.
Thanks. It's going to taste just as good. And then the final ingredient that I'm going to add before we're going to let this come to a boil is the garlic. And I use 3 cloves of garlic, but it kind of depends. Every clove of garlic is a little bit different, so you don't want, if you have a really large clove, then you don't have to, you know, use as much. But these are about good sizes. 3 this size would be perfect. And then using a garlic press will really ensure that you get the garlic smashed really well. And then you don't actually have to remove any of the skins using a press either. It takes everything off and keeps it in the press.
As with any recipe, you're going to want to try different spices and herbs to spice it up or bring it down if you're a little more bland in your taste. All of these are fine to be adding more of or to take away a little bit of. Give it a try, play with your recipe a little bit, and find what suits you and your family. Great.
All right. So now I'm going to turn it up to a high heat, and then we're just going to let this come up to a boil. And you don't really have to do anything to it. You can just leave it there and start cleaning up some of your other ingredients.
Well, great. That looks wonderful. Now, when we're talking about portion size, on a dish like a hearty vegetable soup, you can have quite a bit of food. But when you're watching these portion sizes, count out those vegetables. When we look at 7 to 9 vegetable servings per day, it's really not that overwhelming. We had a serving just in our green peppers. We've had the onions. All of these are going to count for that 7 to 9 goal that we're working for. Continue to include those into your daily intake, and soon you'll have great heart health as well. All right, so once this comes to a boil, we're going to add that pasta. It's going to give it a little bit more thickness. And again, this is a whole wheat pasta, adding fiber into the meal. Let's take a look. Sarah's been able to prepare this ahead of time, so we didn't have to leave it simmer. This is what your final product is expected to look like. And it looks great. So we see that the tomatoes and the peppers are going to come up in our color. What else do you notice about this dish? What are your favorite parts of this meal?
Well, I noticed that once you add the pasta, it really helps thicken it up a little bit and gives it a little bit more of the heartiness to it. Had the pasta not been in there, it may have been a little soupy yet still and runny.
Great. So now how long did we let this simmer?
Well, once it's up to a boil and you add the pasta, you really only need to let it simmer 15 to 20 minutes until the pasta is fully cooked through. But depending on what kind of pasta you get, you just want to read the back of the ingredients to determine the cooking needs.
So this really wasn't that hard of a recipe after all, was it?
No, it wasn't, in one dish, so not a lot of cleanup either.
Great. This looks great. So you can see a hearty meal like this, we can use leftovers for days. This is something that you can make and enjoy throughout the week. It's something, too, that is going to keep you warm on these cold winter days. It's going to be spring soon. And that's what we have for you today for What's Cooking New Ulm. Thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you again next week.